I would say first and foremost is go and engage with Black content and content creators, and actually go and look up what they're doing. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, this person sounds okay, and then just kind of let's leave it like that. Go and engage. Like, this is what I put up on my post today. I was like, thank you for coming here. Welcome. Like, this is what I do. This is what I like. This is what I tolerate. This is what I don't tolerate. And this is what I'm going to do. But engage with it, because ultimately, when people are asking people to engage with their posts and engage with their content, engage with their stuff, especially with Black people, when brands are only ever coming to them and it's Black History Month. Black History Month is a busy month for a lot of Black people, right? They are just all of a sudden, it's, oh my God, can you write this piece? Oh my God, can you write this piece? Even now, all Black journalists who have been quiet, the freelance ones, sorry, who've been quiet, have not really had much work going on. When the coronavirus hit, all the Black people who were working, who were speakers, all of them, when all of that happened, work stopped, slowed down. There was nothing there. Even for me, it slowed down. It completely stopped. And I mean, it stopped for a lot of people, but obviously, when I'm looking at Black people, it stopped there. So, and when it comes to now, racism is like literally at the tip of everybody's tongue now. They're reaching out back to these diverse people because they're like, oh, can you come and do a talk on? Can you speak about this? Can I pick your brain on? Can I? All of this stuff. Engage with the people's content before all of this happens. Throughout the time, we speak as well. I like, for example, I don't only speak about race. I speak in a particular way about particular things. So, you know what I mean? Ryan speaks about particular things in a particular way. Like, it's not just something that we do. So one of the things, the actionable takeaways, is to go to Black people's content and actively engage in their content, share their stuff, like their posts, comment on it, be a part of their community, because they're not only, like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, if it's specific content they're sharing, then it's giving specific content for particular things. That's what they are. If you feel like you're a part of that audience, engage with what is being said, because that's the only way that we can really, really find change, especially around content creation spaces. The second thing is with the reading lists, I mean, this feeds into the engagement with the content, but I'm not here to teach people explicitly. I'm here to create a portal for people to venture down. And if they want to go down, they can. The option is always there, but I provided the information that is available. So when, you know, I think Amanda Seals did an amazing video on this on her Instagram TV, and she's like, you know, white people are coming to Black people, asking them what they can do, what resources they need to learn, what all of this stuff can happen. And it's not Black people's choice. It's not Black people's responsibility to teach you, because ultimately we all suffering from racism. That's it. But at the same time, when Black people have to learn Black history, they have to go and try to find the resources themselves to learn and teach themselves the history. Now, if you want to learn about how to be an anti-racist, Google how to be an anti-racist. There is literally a book called this. Like, you know what I mean? So go and Google on the internets and go and find the information you need. And that is the thing. And I just say, just take personal responsibility for it. Taking personal responsibility for the fact that of like any experiences that you've had or you've partaken in, listening to your friends, having a conversation like this, taking responsibility for it. That is it. Because as I said earlier, all we want is parity and equity. If it was revenge, it would be a thing. So.
Well, if there was revenge and getting what you're owed as well, that's another thing.
Geez, that's a whole other podcast.
Mate,
everybody running down the street in do-rags and bonnets trying to get the money. That'd be so funny.
All right, what I would say is mine's to do with keeping your eyes and ears open. So keep your eyes open, because we need to see what the default is and why that is the default. You know, I've been, you know, even just now, just watched something completely, like, because this has been so much content that's too real for our eyes at the moment. So me and my wife watched a thing about a spelling bee, documentary about a spelling bee, and what was interesting, it was framed around Indian Americans dominating spelling bees, and they were talking about very similar experience, being immigrants and the such. But what I want to pick up is the language in terms of Indian American, African American, but the default is American. Why isn't that not European American?
And whose land was it first?
Exactly, Indian Americans. Yeah, well,
it's a land of immigrants. Literally,
it's a land of immigrants. Exactly. Right.
Anyway.
But the default, like we know, the default for them is like Americans, and then you're African American or Indian American or whatever. Now, and just like we're seeing everywhere else, like the default is white. You turn on the TV, the default is white, and you then see, who the hero is, you know who the villain is, you know who the love interest is. It's not that you know who the cab driver is or the IT technician or anything like that, because these are roles that usually go to like Indian people, or the thug is someone black with a hoodie on and whatever. Like we need to change what that default is so we can start engaging with everyone as their characters. Like there's good and bad people in it. So that's the first thing. Look at what the default is. Keep your eyes open and understand wherever we are, whatever facet of life you operate in. Let's work on changing that default so it represents what the world actually is. And that goes from race relations to gender and sexual preference and everything like that. Like let's make a new normal. Like we've been talking about this new normal with regards to a pandemic, but we need a new normal, period. So that's the first thing. The second thing is keeping your ears open and engaging in tough conversations. So when you hear something you don't agree with, and you don't agree with, at that moment you got to have the courage to step up and not agree with it out loud. And wait, let me pause. Maybe not even at that moment. Sometimes it's not at that moment. Sometimes you might
pulling that person aside after.
Exactly, yeah, because that moment might be with 50 other people, and if you make that person feel embarrassed, it could get worse, and they could get really defensive. But if it's a one-on-one thing, the conversation might be different. So just obviously gauge what
read the room
will be. Read the room. Read the room. # read the room. Definitely. That's the vibe. But yeah, keep your ears open. If someone says something when you're at dinner with family, like older relatives and stuff, let your voice be heard. Like it's now an opportunity to educate. And this is what we've got to do. So keep your eyes and ears open. There would be my two things. And the third thing was keep and use your mouth. Yeah. Keep your eyes and ears open and use your mouth.
Use your senses.
Your whole head sense.
Your whole head. And then it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like white people just really just pull up your granddad who is moving mad in the street, like talking to people in any kind of way. You know what I mean? Pull up your auntie. Pull up your cousin.
Exactly. But if it reads, even we have to do that too.
No, but we do. Thing is, right? This is the thing, man. Power works in a very specific way. If I see somebody undergoing or being like attacked because of their race or whatever, obviously black people understand what it's like to be subject to such. So they are more likely to step in and say, yo, we don't want to, we don't want any of that. We don't want any of that. Putting themselves in harm's way because we become it's part of the drama triangle. Right. So we see the victim, we see the persecutor, and then people step into them, become the hero, but we end up within the drama, and then that's how a lot of these things happen. For example, a lot of the cases that we have seen with regards to black deaths in the street, like black people have stepped in or have tried to diffuse the situation, and then they've ended up being diffused. Do you see what I mean? So, but if a white person walks past and hears somebody being racist to somebody, that is more powerful than going in and saying, yo, we don't want any of that. We don't want any of that. That is much more powerful, because then a black person can be like, thank you. This is somebody that you see is doing it. You know what I mean? So exactly. What I'm saying is that we do that.
Mm.
It's now time for white people to actually stand up. Look around your, as you said, open up your eyes, but look around your workplace. If the person next to you looks like you, and the person right to you looks like you, and the person across the whole office looks like you, and you have to go and search for someone that looks different. Use your senses.
Yeah, use your senses. Trust me.
Yeah.
I did mean more in. That's absolutely right, but I did mean more in terms of when, within the like the Caribbean perspective, when there's things that we hear with regards to other backgrounds that we need to speak up within our own community as well, because ultimately it's the same mindset that's being applied.
Okay, I hear that, but I always look at it as a slight. Do you see what I mean? So, for example, if they are, what I've found is that when certain conversations are had, it's usually because of treatment towards us. It's never, oh, I just don't like X, Y, Z for it's usually down to a treatment or an experience that somebody has had.
Yeah.
Somebody has done something in the street to them. Somebody has seen something to them. I've got a corner shop at the bottom of my road, and like my cousin went in there to buy stuff, and she was just browsing, literally just like, as school kids do at 14, 15, whatever. And I'm telling her to hurry and come out the shop. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna be like, oh, this person was saying this, and if that is a common story all the time, that is something that happens. So that's why when I look at it, it's like when people are complaining in that sense, it's because of a particular instance. Somebody has said something, somebody has done something to make you feel like you are inadequate, insufficient enough to do that. So yes, pull them up and say, if it's out of order, then pull them up. But also, I know that it usually comes from places which are completely odd. You know what I mean?
Hurt people, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
On top of that, I think what I would add as a white person is ask yourself the tough questions. Ask yourself, why is it easier to not have that conversation? Why is it easier to not step in and pull someone up on that thing? Ask yourself, why is it that you may act differently towards someone? Is it because you feel like they come from a different class, a different family background, single parent household, because the color of their skin, because of a idea that you've had embedded in you through society that makes you act differently around that person? Ask yourself, why is it that, and again, this is a much bigger debate, but like, why is it the prison system in the UK and America is predominantly filled with black people versus white people? Is that because there's more black people making crime, or is that because there's more black people being picked on by police? If it's either or, what is wrong with that? Ask yourself those questions and be truthful with yourself. Don't run away from them. Don't give yourself the excuse and the easy answer. It's, before we jumped on here, I was having a very, very triggering WhatsApp conversation with a friend about this. Have those, force those conversations, have that, face up to people. Like you said, call people out. Even if it's in a WhatsApp group and someone's made a half-assed jokey comment, which slightly might be, something to do with race, pull them up on it, being like, bro, we don't do that here. Like, there's not acceptable.
Thin line between banter and racism, man.
Exactly. And it's like, and if they say, oh no, but I'm not being racist, but explain why that is a racist statement that they have made. You're not pointing at them and calling a devout racist who wants to burn all non-white people to the ground. You're just saying that is a racist remark that we don't want here.
And if they move mad with you, make a very clear decision of whether you want them to still be your friend or not.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Be brave. Be brave.
And ultimately, I think,
be brave.
Be brave, and put your neck on the line, because ultimately, ask yourself that question: is my life easier because of the way I look? Is that person's life harder because of the way they look? And is that right?
Yep. Yeah,
that's it.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then try to understand. Try to understand. Have the conversations with your non-white friends. And this isn't just black people. This is Asians. This is people from the Middle East. This is, you know, this is a wide, anyone who doesn't look like you, who doesn't come from your background. They could be Greek, Italian, you know, Jamaican, Japanese, Russian, whatever. Have a conversation to understand them and what it is that they have to go through and deal with based on their heritage, where they're from,
Yeah.
how they look.
Absolutely. Absolutely.